Hello again everyone, I'm attorney Robert Flessas. In this video, I'm going to talk about bad landlords and what you do in a situation where the unit is uninhabitable due to the landlord's refusal or failure to correct the problem. The last video in my landlord playlist talked about receiving a 30-day notice from the landlord to vacate the premises, even when the tenant was in compliance with the lease, and what you should do. You may want to check that video out if you or a friend is involved in that situation. A viewer commented that their toilet was leaking into a crawl space and black mold was starting to accumulate in their unit. The viewer stated that the government didn't even help them. What should you do in this situation? Well, first I'm going to assume that the viewer put the landlord on notice of the situation in writing so they know what's going on. Before taking any action, you must properly notify the landlord. I would write a letter and I'd send it by certified mail delivery, plus I'd call or email the landlord describing the problem. If the problem involves habitability, then the landlord must move on this within a reasonable time. If the landlord does nothing, then the landlord has breached the rental agreement because the landlord has a duty to make sure the unit is habitable. Having the unit in such an inhabitable condition without the landlord repairing the problem is called a constructive eviction, which can unilaterally terminate the lease. A constructive eviction requires the tenant to show that the uninhabitable condition resulted from the landlord not taking action to correct the problem. The tenant must also be able to show that they vacated the unit within a reasonable time to avoid the danger or uninhabitable condition. But the laws in your state could be different. But you have to provide written notice to the landlord of the health issue, giving the landlord a chance to correct the problem within a reasonable time. If the condition is really bad, and if you stay too long, then a court can conclude that the unit was not uninhabitable because you chose to stay there. But every situation is different when it comes to defining habitability. Check your state and local laws regarding habitability and the legal steps that are available should this happen to you and what you should do. There are laws that protect tenants from bona fide health and safety issues that affect you and your family when renting. And there are governmental and private agencies that can help when habitability is a major issue. If you live in a very small town, there will probably not be any municipal agencies available, but you should still make an effort to check. Contact the county where you reside. Usually they have more resources to help you. A state agency may be able to help, but you may not have time to rely on their help because of the size of their bureaucracy. Quickly take pictures of the affected areas to document your situation. If the problem is really bad, and you don't have the money to secure new housing, you can contact churches or local private organizations for help. Even the Red Cross may be able to help you with funding a new unit. They may also be able to find temporary shelter based upon the urgency of the health condition. If you find new housing and under these specific facts, you may not want to bring furniture that's covered in mold to your new housing. You're creating the same problem then. If you do have the funds to secure new housing, then take pictures of the health violations. Find new housing. Some communities allow for the deposit of rent in escrow instead of paying the landlord so you don't violate the contract. And if the landlord tries to sue you for delinquent rent, you have the documentation to prove the hazard, and the rent that you have deposited with the local agency may be ordered by the court to be returned to you. You might even be able to countersue the landlord for damages, including but not limited to damage to your furniture, provable health issues, moving costs, etc. If the landlord tries to illegally keep your security deposit, you may be able to sue the landlord in your local court system for return of your deposit. But the bottom line is protecting you and your family from substantial health issues first. So the important steps to take with a landlord are: provide written notice to the landlord citing the problem. Now the clock starts ticking for the landlord. Give the landlord a reasonable time to fix the problem. If the problem involves health and safety, then the landlord will have a duty to respond rather quickly to resolve the issue. If it's really bad, you got to get out. Then you can take the steps that we talked about in this video to protect yourself and your family from financial loss that resulted from this condition. I'm attorney Robert Flessas, and thanks for watching.